So hello everyone, welcome to this week's YouTube tutorial. I'm actually deep in the throes of organising TDW Live, so it's going to be a short one this week, but I just want to talk about something that's really, I think is quite interesting. If you're new here, my name is Mike Ingledew and I'm all about making you successful with your integrated product support strategies, whether that's identifying the right standards or software that you want to use, or identifying the correct and right software solutions, or just developing your skills and knowledge around the subject of integrated product support. So this week I'm going to look at or I'm going to talk about something that is what I think is quite key, which is why it's important that we look at other domains, other disciplines outside of our traditional aerospace, defense and space domains, and what they're doing, and see if there's anything that they're doing in terms of process, in terms of tools, and can we use what they're doing, bring it into our domain and speed up the adoption of things like S1000D, for example, which is an area where I spend most of my time. So recently I hopped on a train, went up to London, and I went to a non-traditional event which is called Project Challenge, which was being held at the QE2 Centre right near the Houses of Parliament. And I went in there and I had a quick nosy around to see if there was any interesting tools or services that were being offered in that domain, to see if there's anything that we can align to what we want to do in our complex platform integrated product support domain. So I went in there, met the guys from Mind Manager who were there, and it's just a couple of people that I've exchanged emails with that I thought it would make sense, only living an hour down the road, that I went up and said hello. And I spent some time going around London with my wife and daughter and getting in some of the big smoke, because I do like going up to London. But I went to Project Challenge, had a little look around, had a look at some of the tools that are being promoted and used for the skill level, for the domain of project management. And over the next couple of weeks, we'll talk a little bit about some of these external tools that we might be able to use in our, if you like, our traditional IPS domain. This is because one of the biggest criticisms that I have heard from you guys adopting S1000D or trying to implement S1000D is all about the time it takes to configure and set up and use S1000D. Sometimes it's just too complex for many projects, and so I'm always looking at tools that can help us speed up the adoption of things like S1000D, which is why last week I gave a webinar on ramping up the adoption of S1000D with tools like Mind Manager, and I'll put a link below so you can go and watch that. I'm not putting it on YouTube just purely because it's about 60 minutes long, and YouTube doesn't like super long videos on their algorithm, so it's more sensible for you to just go watch it on our website. You can go watch that, and I look at how we can use something like Mind Manager to do some of the softer things that we need to do, critical and important things that we need to do around the adoption and implementation of things like S1000D, and how can we use the commercial off-the-shelf software like Mind Manager, develop capability and put some intelligence into the tool itself that helps us speed up, make the right decisions around our S1000D project. So I look at three different things. One, I look at the rules, and we look at how we can import a BRDP XML file and how we can import that into and create a map. And then, but not only that, is then how can we set things like priority, severity, Brex flags, all these kind of things that we need to do the analysis phase of S1000D before we even get to writing. And how can we export that to things like Excel, even to XML? So we look at the business rules and the BRDPs around working with S1000D. We look at developing standard numbering systems for our project, and we look at how we can then not only use that same standard numbering system map, but we can to just do our SNS structures, but it makes sense that we connect it to other areas. So we can connect it to an S2000M environment, for example, or how can we assign data modules to different levels of an SNS map if we build out a full SNS map, which therefore we can then export from that same map a DMRL. And I also look at DMRLs in isolation and how can we speed up the creation of a DMRL that then ultimately, where we often fall short when we are defining an S1000D project, is how do we cost it? How do we estimate the level of effort on an S1000D project? So I talk about where we're going in terms of providing tools and capability for the costing phase, for the project management phase, which is why I went to Project Challenge in London. And, I like to look at these tools that can, not cost an arm and a leg for us to buy, but it can save us a tremendous amount of time, energy, money when it comes to defining things like an S1000D project. So again, go and watch that. It's, like I say, it's about 60 minutes long. I'll put a link down below. For those of you who are coming along to TDW Live, I know we've got a stack of you joining online. We've got a lot of you that are joining us at the venue itself in Congresbury in Bristol. I was there this week. First time we've been there in nearly 2 years. It was fantastic to go back. I'm going to have the IPS toolkit with me, so if anybody wants to come and have a play and have a look at the IPS toolkit, I'll have a machine set up so you can go and have a look at that. Yeah, so if you want to come along to TDW Live, still got some tickets for you to come along. Come and learn from other IPS professionals who are making IPS a reality, who are also making decisions around where they're going in terms of integrated product support. So super looking forward to it. So this week, like I say, a very short one, just purely because I'm maxed at the moment with lots of training, etc., and getting ready for the conference. But just wanted to make sure that you were aware that there's a full-length webinar link down below that you can go and have a look at your leisure. All you have to do is create an account on our website, and look forward to speaking to some of you at the event in the next couple of weeks. Stay safe, stay well. Those of you who are travelling into the UK from far and wide, look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. Speak soon, everyone.